Hello, it's week 9.
Howdy.
We're almost halfway through, and we got another podcast for you. Whoa, that was an unintended poem. And now for the intended poem, we're going to jump into the poem dome. All right, we're going to do I don't know if I'll do this every week, but I did do another poem for the week. So here we go. Hail Mary, full of grace. It sure looked like Bills pass interference. The Bucks fans prayed after Baker threw it. The ref said it was legal clearance. The Vikings thumped the Pack, but it came at a steep price. Kirk's season is done. Quarterback Achilles this year, they've been torn twice. Dallas jumped out early and never looked back. The story for Stafford was sack after sack after sack. Who would play quarterback in Tennessee with a wounded Tannehill? Why, no more than the man who kept slipping in the draft. Nice to meet you. My name is Will. Minshew asked if 27 points was enough. The Saints said, no. The Colts have given up 37 plus for the third week in a row. The show goes on in Miami with Tua and Waddle and Hill. Keep your eye on that hot seat. Someone needs to scoot over for Bill. The battle for MetLife was about what we all expected. Gano was kicking like guano. He needed wider goalposts erected. The Jags took care of the Steelers. They've now won 5 straight. Pickett got another boo-boo. Will he be ready for the Titans tonight around 8? Sam Howell is wondering what he needs to do to beat Hurts and the gang. He put up 231 burgers and got shot down twice. Bang, bang. Pinheiro and the Panthers pulled one out in Carolina. A sad flight back to Texas on the private jet airliner. A wild one went down in Seattle. A deflection, a pick, and a tutty. The Seahawks are in first out west. Better believe it, old buddy. The Chiefs didn't even score a touchdown. Mahomes was a little bit sick. His fantasy managers would have liked a heads up. Now they're all calling him a prick. The Ravens and Cardinals went about like a battle in the wild. The little Redbirds' chances of winning were always rather mild. Burrow and the Bengals blasted the Niners, a blowout in the Bay. Debo is pretty banged up, but I think he'll be okay. The Chargers shut down the Bears. Staley survived another week. Agent gets one more start in New Orleans. Fields' thumb still needs a little tweak. The Raiders left a lot to be desired on a Monday night in Detroit. Their defense against the run gave the Lions plenty to exploit. All right, that's a wrap on that. Let's jump into week 9. I'm up 6-2 so far. So week 9, and we have, I guess, 9 more weeks after today. So this will be halfway after today. So let's go. We have, I think, 4 buys this week. 49ers.
Yep.
And I'm not sure who else, but 49ers need a buy. I know that much. All right. So tonight we have the Titans at the Steelers. I have the Steelers by 3.5.
I got them by 1.5.
All right. Well, 3.5, 1.5, and we have
2.5.
It's 2.5 right in the middle. Maybe we'll do 14 ties this week.
Wouldn't that be a hoot?
Okay, so this game, Pickett had, I think, a rib injury, but he is cleared to play, so he will be starting. And then
no Trubisky, huh?
Will Trubisky log a snap? Yes or no?
I think probably, yeah.
A rib injury, you could re-aggravate that pretty easily. So we'll see. But Will Levis is starting again for the Titans.
4 touchdown debut.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. So they're saying, I don't know. I mean, it's under 3. I think that's probably a lot of Will Levis hype train at this point since he threw 4 touchdowns. I guess I wouldn't buy it. The Steelers are coming off a loss. Unless you think Will Levis is just going to be a stud. I think he's going to come down to earth a little bit, especially going against that defense. It's a little different when you're going against the Falcons defense at home versus the Steelers defense on the road. I mean, you got TJ Watt in your head and you're just like, I don't know, a little bit uneasy maybe. So I like the Steelers there. I don't know. It seems weird. Like it seems like the Steelers maybe should be favored by a little bit more. So that's throws me off a little bit. But I mean, I just think the Steelers are going to win at home.
The Steelers have been like, I feel like most of the NFL has been this way this year, but they're so Jekyll and Hyde. You're not sure what you're going to get. They don't have great quarterback play. They've got a good defense. You say that about half the teams in the league right now. I think that's why this line is the way that it is. Plus, we just don't know about Will Levis. It's like, could he come out and throw another 4 touchdowns, or is he going to throw 4 picks? Just not enough out on him right now. So I think the reason for this line. I'd also stay away from this game. I would not bet it. Stay away.
There we go. We were both pretty close, and we split that one. So let's move on. London. This is a good one. In London, Dolphins, Chiefs. I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago about this one coming up. So I went Chiefs by 3.
I've got Chiefs by 3.5.
All right. So
it's like 1.5.
It opened Chiefs 2.5, and it's 1.5. So the Dolphins are getting the love. Okay, so so it's a neutral site game.
Yep, it's in Frankfurt.
So
Germany.
Don't be confused if on your app Kansas City is listed as the home team. I mean, I think technically they are the home team, but obviously it's in London. So
no, it's in Germany.
Oh, it's in Germany.
It's in Frankfurt.
Okay, there we go. It's overseas. I mean, I knew 8:30 a.m. wasn't here, but
no, that's right. Watch this game at 8 a.m.
That's what everyone's
time.
Okay, so let's get back to business. So I guess I barely undercut you there, and I get that.
Yes.
Okay, Chiefs. Like I said in the old poem at the beginning, Mahomes was like sick, but no one really knew it until the day of, and then he was questionable. There was a chance he wasn't going to play, and he's like, I'm going to play. Well, obviously, that was a little bit of what happened there with not even scoring a touchdown. So
his flu game was unimpressive.
Yeah, which I didn't think about this till right now. So you have the flu, and then, I mean, obviously they have treatments and whatnot to get him back as fast as possible. But then you have to fly to Germany, and if you're not quite 100%, like, I don't know, maybe that's some of the love on the Dolphins, but it just seems like the Chiefs coming off a loss. Like, how did we lose to the Broncos? Like, I think they're going to get right here. And like we said before, can the Dolphins beat a good team?
They've got a good defense.
I don't know. We'll see. But I mean, I would go with the Chiefs here for sure. All right, let's move on. Oh, my Vikings and their quarterback.
Josh Dobbs is the replacement.
Well, yeah, they signed Dobbs.
Yeah, they traded for him.
Playbook will he know? I don't know if he's going to start. I think Jaron Hall is going to start this week, but it's one of those
impressive debut.
Fumble.
He was that was it. He was really going to pass that ball too, right up into the point he got sacked.
Yeah. Okay, so we got the Vikings at the Falcons. I have the Falcons by 5.5.
As do I.
Have Falcons 5.5. I think we're both close.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Started at 4.
Opened at 4, and it's 4.5. So is a tie as well. Okay, so I don't know what to. So you have either a rookie quarterback or a guy who just got traded who doesn't know the whole playbook playing. So there's obviously some uncertainty. Some people would. Well, here's the thing: the Falcons, Ritter. I don't think he's hurt. He got tested for he got tested for a concussion, but they said he was cleared. But then they left Heineke in there, and the coach is like, "Oh, we'll see how he is. We'll see how he is," acting like it's an injury. And then he said, "We have to do whatever we can to win this game." So it sounds like the coach is just like, "Well, he kind of sucks, and we're gonna let Heineke try to win this game for us." So
he's starting this week, I think. Heineke
for sure.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So you get Heineke versus probably Jaron Hall in your Vikings Falcons matchup. I don't know. if Kirk Cousins, let's just say this, if Kirk Cousins wasn't hurt, this is probably Vikings by 2. And obviously that's a big, there's a big difference between Kirk playing and not playing, especially the way he's been playing. So you get Falcons by 4.5. I thought it would be a little bit higher. Maybe people just reacting to Cousins going down. Jefferson's still out. It's like, who's going to be productive on the Vikings offense? But 4.5 seems a little bit low, but
A little bit given the Viking situation.
I mean, it's not like the Falcons are spectacular. They've played kind of a weak schedule and they're around 500. So
You mean the division leading Falcons?
aren't the Saints in the lead now?
I thought the Falcons were still in. Aren't
Look
they
it up.
4-4?
The Saints won and the Falcons lost. You could be right.
I thought they were both 4-4.
One other thing to mention, so it just seems like the AFC, the caliber of teams in the AFC is just better than the NFC at this point. Like if you look at the line of who's in, who's out of the playoffs, just seems like there's like I don't know if this took tiebreakers into play, but like the Bengals are still technically out at 4-3, or I think they're 4-3, whatever they are.
Mm-hmm.
But you look at the bubble, we'll call it, in the NFC, and it just seems way softer. You got teams like the Falcons and the Bucks and some of these teams that are just
The entire NFC South swimming around there.
right.
So they are. The Falcons are tied with the Saints at 4-4, but the Falcons have the division right now.
Okay. Well, there you have it. It certainly looks like the Saints are the best team in that division, but who knows week to week.
Yeah.
Speaking of
they're going to look at this week.
Speaking of them Saints,
Who dey?
they play the Bears. Mr. Bagent is going to get one more start, it seems like. So the Bears at the Saints. I went Saints by 9.
Also, the Bears lost another assistant coach. I don't know if you heard that.
I didn't.
HR had to get involved. Workplace behavior. Yeah, the running backs coach was just let go, like yesterday.
Interesting. So the coaches aren't coaching. They're just misbehaving at the facility.
Well, the results. You can see the results of that on the field, I think.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
That was a turd burger in LA for sure.
But at least they gave up a second round pick to trade for a defensive end. Montez Sweat.
Yeah. Usually when you're like 2 and 5, you want to really
absolutely trade that draft
for someone
to
makes
make a ton of sense. Yep.
Because if you win out, you'll make the playoffs. And I mean, who doesn't think the Bears are going to win out at the time?
I'm primed for it.
All right. Bears at Saints. I go Saints by 9.
I only went Saints by 7.5 because I don't like the Saints and I'm still down on Dennis Allen. But hey, look, you might be right. They might be the best team in that division. I don't know what that says, but
all right. It opened at 7.5, and it is
8.5, 8, 7.5, 8.5.
I mean, the most consistent line is 8.5. I kind of feel dirty saying that's 8.5 though, just because it opened right on what you guessed it.
That's how we've been playing.
That's true. All right, I get that one.
You do.
Basically, kind of tied.
That's like nobody wants to just say like 8.5 or 8 or he's like 8.5. That is some movement on that line.
Yeah, Caesars always seems to be a little bit off of the rest of them.
Yeah.
Business decision. Yeah, so I mean,
what can you say? The Bears suck. They're a terrible team. They're a terrible organization.
Yeah,
that's like.
So the Saints, you have Derek Carr, right? I didn't watch a lot of their game against the Colts. They scored 1 million points, so they must have been playing pretty well. On paper, I'm a broken record. I keep saying, the Saints have a good defense, which they do, but you'd think like if Derek Carr can just like be the best Derek Carr that he's been over the last several years, which not that he's been really consistent, but
no,
I mean, with that defense and the playmakers they have with Kamara and Olave, although Olave just got arrested again, didn't he? Wasn't he speeding? It's like
I didn't hear that. I don't know.
They can get right. I mean, they have. It seems like they have the pieces. Except
that division is there for the taking.
Yeah, except for the coach.
Yeah, I'm down on him, but maybe I'm wrong, right? Maybe he learned. Maybe the Raiders just is not a good place to go to be a head football coach.
Yeah, well,
I mean, maybe the Raiders shouldn't have traded Derek Carr. They should have kept him. Maybe they should have fired the coach last year and kept Derek Carr. Maybe they should have kept Rich Bisaccia on, not hired Josh McDaniels.
There you go. They just need a game manager as a head coach, not an offensive-minded
Dupa.
dupa. Ken, let's. Yeah, Bagent gets one more start. I'm pretty sure Fields isn't playing, but it sounds like he's probably maybe going to play next week.
Hope so.
But so who did they beat? Oh yeah, they beat the Raiders 2 weeks ago. And I just saw something recently about they kept cutting to Fields during the game when they were crushing the Raiders, and he just wasn't happy at all. And it just kind of makes you think, like, are you a team guy? Like, is this organization got like pulling for each other?
No, and I think that was when some of the things came up, like a lot of the pushback, a lot of the criticism of the Bears, aside of everything else, is the way they handled the Bagent situation and how they positioned him and how the national media positioned him. And it's sort of the overtones that were replete in all of that positioning. It's just a dumb organization. The Bears are not good at anything, and they really should just sell the team. All due respect, just please.
And
please.
The Chargers game, they kept showing Poles in the box, like Ryan Poles, and he's got his earbuds in and he's got his laptop up, and he just like, I mean, this is terrible of me to say this, but he just seems like an idiot. Like he just seems like he doesn't know what's going on.
Yes.
Like he might actually be playing like Tetris on his laptop or something rather than paying attention to anything. But
I mean, he did hire Matt Eberflus when nobody else in the league was like, who we need to coach our team? Matt Eberflus. Nobody said that. And I get, like, you want to be like against the grain. You want to try to, come on, dude.
The Colts defense, they've given up 37 or more 3 games in a row, and he used to be their D coordinator, so he's probably like, guys,
see, look
what happens when I'm not there.
I'm so good. Don't watch this game.
Yeah, we'll see if Eberflus is the next coach to get fired, because McDaniels just went, right?
Yeah, that was a surprise too. Like, I don't know that anybody had him on their leaderboard. McDaniels.
Are you joking?
Yeah. As the first one. Yeah, no. I mean, he's just into his second year. Right? He's not even, and they're 3-5. I think they're still. I mean, they're worst coaches, right?
Well, that's true. They were their record, like.
Yeah, I mean,
you wait a couple more games to see if they can make a playoff push.
Because 2 weeks ago they were 500.
Yeah. So the interim guy immediately said Garoppolo's not starting.
Yeah, no, they benched him for the rookie.
That tells me that the management maybe wanted to bench him earlier, and McDaniels is like, no. And so now they're like, okay, well, then you can go. You can fall on the sword.
Yeah, well, and so there was video of Mark Davis during the Lions game. And it was just Mark Davis. So I don't know what he was responding to, but the caption read Mark Davis responding to Josh McDaniels on the field, and all Mark Davis is doing is going, "You asshole." So I don't know. Who knows? That plays another slightly less riveting dumpster fire than the Bears.
Yeah, maybe Gruden will come back. Who knows?
I read that today. But he might like Mark Davis. Yeah, that Mark Davis and Gruden are like really close. He never wanted to get rid of Gruden, and that he could see him coming back. And
as long as he doesn't get an email account, right? No email account.
They weren't that good. Like this time around, they weren't good under Gruden. They were not good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I forget. It's been a little while. I just kind of
2 years
escaped my memory. But I thought they were above 500, like a playoff team at that point when all that went down.
So they weren't a playoff team when he left, and then that's when he was fired, right? And then Bisaccia came in, and they won their last 4 games, and then they did make the playoffs, and that was that whole kerfuffle around. They should have hired Bisaccia because he did such a good job, because that wasn't a playoff team when he came out, or they were not a definitive playoff team when he came in. Then of course they fired him and hired Josh McDaniels, and looks like a really dumb move.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on.
Yes, let's.
The Rams are at the Packers. Ugh, 2 teams playing kind of bad. Both.
Yeah. What happened to the Rams? I feel like last week it was like Rams are good. Rams. No.
Well,
no.
Let's guess it and then we'll talk.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
So I went Packers by 5. What do you got?
I have Rams by 1.5, or giving up 1.5.
All right, so we are way different on
Yeah, I
this
don't know why I did
one.
this.
And
I'm not sure. They're both not good. Yeah, it's Green
it
Bay.
opened at Green Bay by 3, and it's up to 3.5 most places. So there's a few things to unpack with this one. So Stafford sprained a ligament in his thumb, throwing thumb.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to make of that. It's really hard to tell if he's not practicing, but who knows if he's gonna play. So there's that. The Rams, well, their top 2 running backs have been hurt, are both on IR.
Mm-hmm.
So they keep like Darrell Henderson was signed off the practice squad. They got Royce Freeman. Obviously, there's a drop off a little bit at running back, and then they can't really protect Stafford. I don't know that they're a weird team to me. Like, it just seems like they should be playing a little bit better than they are. But I mean, they played the Cowboys in Dallas. That's a tough matchup for pretty much anyone. I don't know.
The 49ers.
What's that?
I said, unless you're the 49ers.
Well, they played them in
that's
California.
Right.
So I don't know. Just leave this game alone. I mean, I don't know what you got injuries. You got 2 teams who
bad quarterback play,
refused to win a game lately.
Yeah.
It seems like.
Just feel like both teams about to hit a reset.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Rams traded away all their draft picks, though. So, like, what are they going to do? How are they going to reset?
I don't know.
Maybe
it retires, and
maybe it's a 10-year plan.
I guess they got their Super Bowl, so I guess it was worth it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you'd argue it's worth it. You get 1 Super Bowl, even though you trade away everything.
1 Super Bowl a decade. I guess that's good. It's better than what the Bears are doing.
Yeah. Yeah, and the Packers, I don't know what's going on. I mean,
quarterback. I mean, Love's not the right guy.
Yeah, he's still young. Let's move on.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't talk too much about the bad matchups.
Dude.
Speaking of that, Washington Football Commanders against the Pats. I have the Pats by 3.
I have the Pats by 2. Give them 2.
All right, we're close to each other on this one. And the line is, it opened at 2.5, and it is up to 3.5.
Both places.
Okay, so it opened in between our guesses, and it moved up. Okay, so it's a fair line, right? It's around 3. That's pretty much what we both guessed. But you can't really trust either one of these teams, obviously. The Patriots kind of hung around with the Dolphins for a little bit and then got beat by 2 touchdowns. And then Washington scored, if you remember from the old poem at the top of the show, they've scored 31 and 31 against the Eagles, and they have 2 losses. So I don't know. Howell only got sacked once, so he might not be on pace anymore.
So he might be a good quarterback if he could stop getting sacked.
Yeah, maybe. I'm trying to think of something to say about this game, and I just don't like. What do you do with it? Just you don't watch it. You check the score. You check your fantasy, and you see what.
Washington didn't give up mode. They gave up 2 of their best defensive players. Like, that coach is not going to be there next year. That quarterback might. They just sold the team. Like that. This thing's a tear down. This is a tear down right now.
Yeah. All right.
We'll watch.
I get that one. Let's move on to the next one.
I'm gonna get this one too.
So we have a pretty decent game here. So the Seahawks at the Ravens. You got the Seahawks,
division leaders.
Yeah. The Niners lost 3 in a row, so the Seahawks are in control in the West. Imagine that. You've got Matt Stafford. You've got the Niners with all that talent. You've got Kyler Murray, who obviously hasn't been playing, and who's in first? Geno Smith. Geno and the boys.
So how good of a coach is Pete Carroll?
Like, how old of a coach, or how?
Well, he's like the oldest coach in the NFL, but like, how good of a coach is Pete Carroll? Like, I mean,
he's been consistent. Well, here's the thing: like,
team has been great.
They've had some bad years in there, and some I don't know, front offices would just fire those guys, and like they're just like, no, we're gonna stick with them. And I mean, like, he's
consistency.
Yeah.
Like they're all like they have a bad year, but they don't turn a bad year into a bad 5 years or a bad decade like the shitty franchises like the Browns, the Bears, the Lions. Like they haven't had that progressively terrible decision making. They have always rebounded. And in a situation like this, where they picked a quarterback just kind of off the scrap heap, and now they're winning the division, it's just, that's a really good story. That division is going to be fascinating to watch.
Yeah.
As it comes down to the end of it.
It'll be, I mean, they're probably going to make the playoffs. It'll be interesting to see if they can match up with some of the blue bloods or the teams with elite players in the playoffs. But
we'll see this week.
All right. Seahawks at the Ravens. I have Ravens by 5.
I've got Ravens giving 4.
And it is
5.5 or 6 right now.
6. Yeah, mostly 6. Ravens by 6. Okay, so the Ravens, I don't know, they've won like 3 or 4 in a row.
Yeah.
They're one of the more consistent teams at this point.
Yeah.
They're just playing good defense. Lamar, Mark Andrews, Gus Edwards just had 3 touchdowns. So they're just, I don't know, playing consistent week in and week out. Granted, I mean, they played the Cardinals last week, but you got to beat who's on your schedule, right?
Yes.
And then, I mean, the Seahawks too. They're 5-2, something like that. 5-3. Yeah. So you got another battle of the birds, and it's Ravens by 6, which I think, I mean, that's fair. Fair. So
less than a touchdown favorite at home. They've been explosive where the Seahawks haven't.
Yeah.
They beat a top line NFC team already.
Right. Yeah. I mean, 6 seems like a lot in a game between 2 pretty good teams. I could see a little.
You have the West Coast, East Coast travel thing coming in.
That's true. Year. But I also could see a little bias towards the Ravens just because they have the big name guys and they're at home, and it's like the Seahawks are sort of pretenders. Like no one really still believes in them. Maybe. So I don't know. Maybe the Seahawks at +6, but you can't really argue against it either way. I could easily see the Ravens winning by a touchdown or more as well.
Mm-hmm.
Then Seahawks 2 running backs were both kind of banged up. They both played. I don't think either one of them got hurt worse during last week's game, so maybe they'll be a little healthier. But there you have it. That's what you got. Battle of the Birds out in Baltimore. Yeah, that's a long flight.
It is. So yeah, like the end of one end of the country to the other. It's like 6 hours probably.
Maybe they should fly around the other way, like by Australia and stuff.
That's got to be quicker, right?
Yeah.
We should plan all the NFL travel. We would get some shit done, man.
Think about what you could do on that 20-hour flight.
We might need to put some sort of disclaimer at the start of this podcast. I've been swearing a lot. I apologize. If you've got kids in the car, whatever.
That's fine. It's all in the settings. They know what they're doing.
Oh, fair enough.
All right. So I get that one.
Not a good week for me. Jeez.
5-0 but 2 ties in there. And the one questionable one that I get to claim. Okay. Yeah. Let's move on. You got the Bucks at the Texans. I have the Texans by 3.
I got the Texans given 2. Yeah.
Okay, so we're both kind of close with our guesses, and it opened at 2.5.
It is.
It's 2.5 most places. So we split that one again. Tie.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the Bucks have a little extra time to prepare. They played that Thursday game against the Bills. With
loss.
So the Bucks were down 14. They scored a touchdown, got the 2-point. So now they're down 6. They get the ball back and they throw a Hail Mary, and the ball, no one touched it. I think it hit the ground. Literally no receiver or D-back touched it. And if you look back at the replay, I mean, there's pass interference all over the place, which I get it. Like you don't call it as much on a Hail Mary, but at what point do you need to call it when 2 or 3 different people are getting held pretty clearly? I almost think I started thinking, I'm like, what could they do? Like maybe they need to change pass interference to not be a spot foul. Because obviously, right, you throw a Hail Mary from your own 40. And if they call PI, you get it at the one.
Right at the
So like it's like flip a coin whether you're gonna score, which
you're done with the tush push.
yeah, exactly. So I get that, but then so should they change pass interference to not be quite
50,
as
15 yards,
that's what I think they should do.
10 yards, just give them the first down.
Yeah. Anyway, the ball felt like Chris Godwin was like kind of wrapped up and he was like trying to turn around and he turned around right as the ball was coming down and he's just like, oh, the ball hit the turf right there. Game over.
I could have had that too. That was just such a like all you had to do was just
So that was an interesting end to the game. It was the Bills were pretty much dominating, but the Bucks had a prayer at the end. So we got Bucks at Texans, and we tied that one. The Texans just lost to the Panthers, which
what a weird game.
I think I kind of called that, like to stay away from the Texans. A lot of people probably were like, "Oh, I can use the Texans in my Survivor League." Well, the line was weird, a little weird low, and after 14 offsides penalties, Eddie Pinheiro, or whatever his first name is, finally kicked it through. Did you see that?
No, but did that game have a touchdown? Because it was like 15-9, wasn't it, or 15-12?
Yeah, the Panthers scored a touchdown.
Did they?
Both teams scored a touchdown. I don't know if I can't remember if they missed extra points or if they were going for two or what.
Because at one point it was 12-13, I think was the score.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and then I forget what the distance was, but Pinheiro lines up to kick the game winner, and it's like a 35-yarder. So obviously, you either win or lose on that kick. So the Panthers are like, they're probably telling their guys like, jump when you think they're going to hike it, try to get a little bit of an edge and go try to block it. Well, the guy jumps way off sides and he like runs and hits the holder. So it's like a 15-yard penalty maybe. So they move it up and then they jump again. The guy comes off the edge and he's right in front of it and he doesn't block it. I didn't see the replay, but the ball must have went like through him and he made it. So but it wasn't game over because they ruled that the guy was like unabated to the kicker or whatever. So he has to kick it a third time from like, I don't know, inside the end zone. It just seemed like he wasn't even going to be able to get it high enough because it was so close. No, I'm exaggerating, but after 3 attempts, he finally kicks it through and the Panthers get their first win of the year to the playoffs
in 5 or 6 years.
So Bucks at the Texans, I don't think you overthink this. I think the Texans are a little bit better team and they're at home and it's just like you just take the Texans, I think, in this one, but I mean pretty fair line.
The Texans are like a team that seems to be solidifying around itself. New coach, new quarterback. They're winning games. People didn't think they were going to win. The Bucks are another team that are about to just blow it up. Picking quarterbacks off the scrap heap, sort of like they've got a new head coach, kind of like an interim head coach situation. It's just Texans.
Yeah.
Texans.
I think it was like 3 or 4 weeks ago. Baker Mayfield joined the set of College Game Day like the day before, and he was talking to McAfee, and he was all happy, of course, because the Bucks were like
they're like 3-1 at that point. Yeah.
And then McAfee was like, "What if this is where Baker Mayfield realizes his potential, and what if he actually like will be really good and this is just like his starting point and he's just going to be a consistent quarterback." And then I don't know, they're like 1-3 since then, maybe, I would guess, something like that. 1-2, I don't know, like 0-3.
Does he have Trent Dilfer potential? Like, is he like Baker Mayfield like 7 years from now going to end up quarterbacking a team with a really great defense and winning a Super Bowl? Like, is that his ceiling?
I don't know. I'm very curious about these guys like him who can play really well for a couple weeks and
just
then
need to have it.
And then it's just like, what are they doing? Or do they not continue to prepare? Or like, are they just getting a little bit lucky in certain situations? I don't understand.
It's weird. But he just never took off. He's had a playoff victory too. He's won a playoff game. Quarterback with a playoff on it, that's kind of a rare thing.
Yeah.
Just can't get it together.
know. That's kind of a not so great game. So we gave our take. Let's move on. The Cardinals, Josh Dobbs gone. Minnesota says, Josh Dobbs, come here just in case our rookie is really bad. And we want to still try to make the playoffs. They like traded a 6th for a 7th and Dobbs or something like that. So Dobbs is gone. I don't know if Kyler Murray is going to play, but we got the Cardinals at the Browns. I went Browns 11.
I went Browns 4.5.
Well, this will be interesting. We're gonna have to get the calculator out for this one because I think it's right in the middle.
It's 8.
Open at 7.5. Yeah, mostly 8. Browns -8. You are
3.5. No.
Oh no, I'm barely
You're closer. You're 3. I'm 3.5.
Yeah, I get that one by a half point. So the whole if they're actually considering playing Kyler Murray, this is maybe one to just keep him out because he's probably going to get hurt again against that defense.
Defense is so good. I still think it's the best one in the league right now by rating. Best passing defense, best together the unit.
Yeah, even after they gave up 38 to the Colts, they still were top. In both categories, which was interesting to me. But so you got Clayton, is it Tooney? I don't know how to pronounce his name. Anyway, he's probably going to start for the Cardinals on the road against the Browns. Obviously, I went kind of high. I'm just like, the Cards are still one of the worst teams. The Browns, that defense, it just felt like it should be double digits, and it's only 8. So, I don't know. It's a little weird to me, but is Clayton Tooney really going into Cleveland and keeping that game close?
I think it's more about the Browns quarterbacking situation than it is about what's going on with the Cardinals.
Yeah, maybe. Although PJ Walker's been decent. I mean, obviously he threw that pass in Seattle and it got tipped up and Seattle picked it off and went down and scored. But yeah, I don't know. That's a weird one. It seems a little low
too. That's the other thing, right? It's the Cards are going to the Browns. Yeah, that does seem a little low.
But I guess 11, it's 8. It's still more than a touchdown, less than 10. So it's kind of.
We had the same conversation when the Cards played Dallas, right? And then they lost early this season. Didn't the Cardinals beat the Dallas? And that was after Dallas had just annihilated the Broncos 40-0, or it was week 3, and the Dallas looked unbeatable.
Yeah,
the Cards came and beat them. I don't know. It's weird,
Although I think that was a home game for the Cardinals.
Was it? Yeah.
But yeah, that was the mystery.
So that was the first question mark loss of the season, I think.
And
that was surprising.
I would say by far the best the Cardinals had played.
Unquestionably, because the Dallas is a good team.
I don't know what you do with these high lines like this. It's always, I've said this before, but it's like the Ravens Cardinals, right? It was more than a touchdown. The Ravens were ahead by 10 or more for a decent amount of the game, and then they only won by 7, right? It was this backdoor field goal with 30 seconds left. So the Cardinals cover. And then what was the other one? Oh, the Dolphins Patriots. It was kind of back and forth, 7 points, and then it was 14, and it just kind of it's are the Patriots going to score one at the end to cover or not? And it's I don't know how it's teams are playing to win. Teams are planning to win by 1 score. The winning team usually runs the ball and punts it and kind of protects the lead. So it's tough when you get something more than 7. I don't know. It's hard to be confident in a pick on either side of something like that. All right. That was a long analysis. So let's move on. We got the Colts, who score 1 million points and give up 1 million points and can't seem to win a game, at the Panthers, who didn't used to be able to win a game, but now they did. They figured it out.
Okay. They got a 1-game winning streak. They're way better than the Colts.
Colts at Panthers. I have Colts by 1.5.
I have the Colts giving 3.
I don't remember what this one is.
Even how the week's going.
It opened at 3, and it is 2.5 most places. So Josh gets that one.
Ooh, on the board, folks. Boom.
All right, 6-1. If you run the table, it'll be 6-5. That's called a moral victory.
Is it?
Yeah. All right. Let's get Colts. Minshew Magic. He's scoring points, but just not enough to get him over the hump. So this is a weird game, right?
Yeah.
It's like the Panthers are obviously still playing hard. They just got to win. The Colts are like scoring a lot of points, but can't seem to like win a game.
Not gelling at all.
It's almost like, is this another 15-13 game and the Panthers pull another one out? I don't know.
It doesn't feel like it to me.
Yeah, so take your pick. You either think the Panthers are going to be competitive at home, or you're like, oh, it's only 2.5. That's a field goal for the Colts. Colts are the better team. Give me the Colts. So
Minshew is scoring a lot of points. Does he have like next season like a Baker Mayfield role? Some team without a quarterback who feels like they're win now? He get a starting job or a shot at a starting job next year, Minshew?
I think he deserves one. Yeah.
Yeah, he looks. I mean, he's got confidence, dude. That's the thing I liked about Bagent when he first premiered. He just looked confident. He looked like he should be out there on that field, and that's what Minshew looks like. He just looks like now his results, unfortunately, aren't always great, but he looks like he should be out there.
Yeah. So the Vikings picked up Dobbs, obviously, because it's like, let's just see if he can work out and maybe try to make the playoffs. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But if the Colts had a little bit worse record, I wouldn't have been surprised if they had one or two more losses, maybe the Vikings go after Minshew. That's like would have been another guy in that range of, the team selling him doesn't necessarily really need to keep him, but he's good enough to be serviceable to, like, if you have a good defense, maybe you can win some games with him. But yeah, I mean, I think you look at some of the starting quarterbacks in the league, like, I wouldn't be surprised. Get him in the right system, and he can.
Yeah, I don't know where he sits statistically, but I feel like he's right in the middle. Like if you said he was 15-20, or even 10 to, maybe not 10, but like 12 to 17, that feels maybe right, given how many points he's put up.
Yeah. No, I agree. All right,
Raiders and Giants.
Giants at the Raiders. I have well, let's just go through this. Okay, so I have Raiders by 3.5.
I have the Raiders by 1.5.
I think you're gonna get this one. So I did guess this before I knew Garoppolo was out, and I'm just like, whatever, it is what it is. Like, maybe he is he that good anyway? Like, is he really worth much? I think that it did move after that, but so it opened at 3, Raiders by 3, and it's 1.5. So Josh nailed it. So he gets that one.
Yeah.
So what do you think? You're right on.
I'm right on. I've made these picks. I try to make these picks Monday morning before I listen to anything or look at anything, so I'm not influenced. So I didn't know like that this hadn't broken. They hadn't even played that Monday night game yet. I like all my picks this week I tried to keep them. I didn't have any real crazy like lines. Like I don't think I had anything over 7.5. I think was my biggest line. This just felt like two bad teams, and so it felt like coin flip. But it didn't feel like a push. I gave the edge to the Raiders because of the cross country travel, and again at the time they were. They weren't that far removed from being 500. They just felt like they should get the edge here.
Yeah. And we've talked about this several times, but coach gets fired or star player goes down. So obviously McDaniels got fired. It seems like the team plays well in the short term. So,
and they're injured too. The Giants have 2 injured quarterbacks. The Daniel Jones is out. I don't think Tyrod Taylor is back. And so Tommy DeVito is starting. Is that the gentleman's name?
He did finish the game last week.
He finished the game, but I think he's starting this week.
Interesting.
So, and they only let him, if you saw that game, like he did 3 passes where he took the ball at the snap and then went whoop and just essentially lateraled the ball to like a running back they had no faith in him to pass at the end of that game.
We're gonna do a quick quarterback roundup. I know quarterbacks get hurt a lot, and it's like middle of the season, it's like seemingly half the quarterbacks are hurt. But it just feels like this year it's a lot more than it it usually is. So let's just go through this. So Will Levis, not the starting quarterback, but he's playing. Pickett is going to play, but he almost didn't play because he had an injury. He didn't finish the last game.
Right.
Tua's fine.
Who's remarkably?
Yeah, who's usually hurt.
Yeah.
Mahomes just had the flu and almost missed a game.
Yeah, flu.
Cousins done for the year, torn Achilles. Ritter benched, maybe concussion benched, maybe just who the hell knows what's going on.
Benched, yeah.
Bajent is in for Fields.
Thumb, yeah.
Carr, he was holding his crotch a lot that one game, like he kept getting hit in the penis, but he's fine. He's been playing, so I guess that's one healthy quarterback. Stafford, very good chance he doesn't play this week. Jordan Love has been the starter, but maybe they should sub him out. Howell's gotten hit 100 million times, but is still healthy somehow. Mac Jones is healthy. Geno Smith's healthy. Lamar's healthy. Mayfield's healthy. Stroud is fine. Dobbs, well, Murray was out. Dobbs is traded. Watson is hurt, maybe not hurt, maybe thinks he's hurt.
So he just doesn't want to play football anymore.
Yeah, Richardson's out. Minshew's in. Bryce Young was hurt earlier for a game or two, and now he's back in. Tyrod and Daniel Jones are out for the Giants. Garoppolo just got benched and was hurt earlier.
Yep.
Dak has been surprisingly healthy.
Resilient.
Same with Hurts. Josh Allen's been fine. Burrow had the calf thing, but now he's back.
Yep.
Herbert broke his finger on his non-throw.
Oh, that's right. He spent the whole game getting rid of the middle finger.
He's fine. And then you have Rodgers, who was out
2 minutes into
game one. Yeah. So I don't know. As I go through this, I'm thinking maybe that is kind of normal. Like people just get hurt, right? Because quarterbacks are getting smashed.
Feels like 50% of the teams though are on their second stream or worse. That doesn't feel normal.
Right. But, yeah. I don't know. Let's
crazy.
Okay, the quarterback injury roundup is done. We're going to continue. Yeah. Here's a good one. So this must be the afternoon game of the week on Sunday. Cowboys at the Eagles. I went Eagles 3.5.
I got the Eagles giving 5. Get this one.
Okay, it opened at 3 and it's steady at 3.
Yep.
So in retrospect, maybe that should have been easier to pick. It's like, okay. 2 very good teams, division game. Give the home team 3. I think it's fair. Cowboys haven't been as consistent, so I think I like the Eagles there.
Yes. I think this line is low. Honestly, the Cowboys are a good team, but when they lose weird games. They just lose weird games. That Cardinals game we talked about already. When they played the Niners, and the Niners were a great team, but they got pants, man. Like they just looked like a lost team, and they didn't have any major injuries. Like I know they lost their corner, but other than that was weeks ago. Like, and they just got their asses kicked. I feel like this is another national stage for the Cowboys to just get kicked in the tushy.
Yeah, I agree. And then I don't know. It just seems like Dak is more prone to making that mistake that kind of ruins the game than Hurts. Like to me, it just doesn't seem like Hurts forces as much stuff. But
and I think maybe this is also the Eagles have a great record. They're winning games, but they always seem like they're finding new ways to win. It's like they're not dominating in a way like some of the we've seen other teams dominate this year. Like we've seen the Niners dominate people, we've seen the Cowboys dominate people, but I don't think we've seen the Eagles dominate in the way those other teams like have. Yeah. So I don't know.
And yet they're right there at
they're 7-1. They're the best in the best at the because now the Kansas City lost too. Everybody in the AFC right now, all the division leaders, I think, are 6-2. Eagles are alone at 7-1 or whatever they are.
Yeah, they've got a great chance to get the bye.
Yeah.
Although I think they play San Francisco. San Francisco has 3 losses, and I don't think anyone thinks that they're like broken or anything. They just kind of
maybe Brock Purdy is though.
Yeah, possibly. Although Debo's been out too, and that just changes your game plan. You have some dynamic like that who's out. But anyway, I think the Eagles play the Niners. So Niners have 3 losses. Eagles have 1. If the Niners can beat them, then there's only 1 game difference. And they would have the tiebreaker. So if they can somehow tie the Eagles in the loss column, they could get that bye and get home field on the NFC side, which very possible,
Yeah.
although they have to get right too. They've lost 3 in a row, so who
Yeah.
knows?
Mhm.
All right, we got 2 left. We've got the Bills at the Bengals. I went Bengals by 3.5.
And I got the Bengals by 4.
I don't remember what this one is. It opened at 2.5 and it is down to 2. All right, Bengals by 2. So if you remember last year, this was the Damar Hamlin game where he got hurt really bad and they canceled the game. So I think it was in Cincinnati too, around this time of year. So Bills at the Bengals. The Bengals in that game, I think they had just scored a touchdown. They went right down the field, and it just looked like they were gonna, well, it was like first quarter, but anyway, it just seemed like they were clicking and like they were gonna win that game. So you get basically the repeat of it this year. And they're saying, Bengals are only -2 at home. And after the way they just played at San Francisco, that surprises me. I thought it would be at least 3. Obviously, you did too.
Bengals are back, baby. This is again. I don't know about the coach, but they got the quarterback. Right. Burrow is a great flipping quarterback. He was immediately good. 2 years into his career, he was in the Super Bowl, or was it? It's like or after that injury. 2 years after that injury, he was in the Super Bowl. I think they're going to win this game. So I don't think they're going to win by a touchdown.
Yeah. So I was in Nebraska this past weekend. I actually went to the Huskers game, but my friend that I stayed with is a Bills fan. And I knew they had a bunch of injuries on their defense, but I didn't know it was quite this bad. He said they had 4. Yeah. They have 4 starters who are done for the year, I think.
Yeah.
So you got Tre'Davious White, you got Milano, and then there was 2 other ones, which obviously I'm not intimate with the Bills roster, so I don't know who they are, but that's just a lot to make up for. So, I mean, that's obviously a big reason why they haven't been as consistent, but the Bills just aren't quite the Bills yet, and the Bengals looked really good.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe the argument for the Bills is you don't react to the Bengals win at the Niners, but
I feel like that was a really good win. That was a quality
win. They just seem like they're right.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
The Bills just did trade for a corner, though, I think.
Okay.
I don't know who.
Yeah. So obviously I like the Bengals in that game. We'll see what happens. It seems a little bit low, so that's kind of makes you wonder, but we'll see. All right, so I get that one. We got one left,
and we're gonna tie this because I have the same as you.
Jets. Okay, we got Chargers at the Jets, and we both went Jets by 2, and we're both way off.
Are we really?
It is Chargers by like 3 or something.
What?
Like that. It opened Chargers 2, and it's up to 3.5. So, okay, so the Jets just beat. Excuse me. Jets just beat the Giants on just a weird, bad. I mean, it was that game was what we expected it to be, I guess. Low scoring. Gano missed like a what less than 40-yarder maybe to put the Giants up 6. So they're only up 3, and they give them the ball at the 30 or whatever, 30 or 40, and then the Jets went down the field, kicked. Right, they kicked a field goal to tie it. It went to overtime, and then they ended up kicking a field goal to win it. So, ugly game. I don't know, like the Jets at home, like the Chargers at the Jets are gonna win by more than 3, apparently.
I like the Jets straight up in this game. I'll be honest. I don't know why, but I don't
know. It almost seems like I was so far off that maybe there's like an injury I'm not accounting for or something, but it just seems high.
The Jets are, and I think the Jets are inexplicable to me this year in that team didn't seem right last year. They had a tremendous amount of issues with that quarterback. They go and get Rodgers. He blows up within minutes of the game, within the season. They're right back to where they were last year, but now somehow they're a better team. Now somehow Robert Saleh and Zach Wilson have decided that it's weird. They've got some weird mojo going on. If their Jets were playing the Eagles, this would be different, but they're playing the Chargers, who are kind of crap. I don't care what happens against the Bears. Yeah, I like the Jets here.
Yeah, and to me, it's a stay away just because it's
don't put
I'm
anybody
so
on
far
that.
off. It's like something weird's going on there. But Chargers 3.5 on the road.
Cross
That's
country.
what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the Jets are what, 4-3?
Yeah.
So
Playoff team right now.
here's what they're saying. They're saying Rodgers will be ready on December 24th. They think he'll return. So they have 8 games before then. So they're saying if they can go 500, they'll be 8-7 with 2 regular season games left, and they'll be in the playoff hunt for sure.
Yeah.
And then he'll return, and they're hoping he can, take him to the promised land. But I don't know who's all left on their schedule, if that's going to happen. I mean, the way they've been playing,
good.
Yeah, you certainly think that they could win.
Or no, the division is good. Never mind. The Patriots aren't good.
Right. One team in there isn't good.
Right. Everybody else is
good. Yeah, I mean, that's very possible that could happen.
Yeah, that is going to be a son of a bitch too, right? Like if Zach Wilson leads this team to like the playoffs and then they're like, okay, step aside, let Aaron Rodgers come in. And I get it, the pedigree, but
yeah,
it sucks to be Zach Wilson.
All you'd have to say to Zach Wilson is, do you honestly think you give us a better chance to win than Aaron Rodgers?
Well, if you're asking Zach Wilson, based on my understanding of Zach Wilson, he would say yes. Like that was part of the issue last year, right? Like he was all like, not my fault. It's your guys' fault. I'm good.
Yeah.
He was not well liked.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, obviously he would want him. He would want him.
Yeah, of course he would. Yeah.
Well, we'll see if it happens. The Jets could also go 2-6 and it won't even matter. So we'll see. All right. That's it. 14 games
in the books.
There's a few good ones, a lot of injuries. Yeah, it's kind of a smorgasbord this week. That's a wrap. Go Vikings! Go Bears!